Being a pretty big fan of survival horror games such as Resident Evil, Dead Space, and The Evil Within, you may be shocked to find out that I honestly have never once played any of the games found within the Silent Hill franchise. It's not because I felt like these games were not worth checking out or that I wouldn't enjoy them, but it's more the fact that I just never had the chance to really get my hands on them growing up like I had the luxury with Resident Evil. All of my friends had it, my older siblings had it, and it just seemed like no matter where I went, everyone who owned a PlayStation 1 had Resident Evil, but nobody ever seemed to have Silent Hill. Now, as I grew older, I still had the urge in the back of my mind to get into Silent Hill, but the fact that now they've released over 8 titles in the main series, 9 spin-off games, and 2 more in the works currently, it was just too much for me to get up the courage to dive headfirst to play from start to finish with this iconic horror franchise. Until now. But wait, before you go and make some popcorn and grab a good drink, this video is not going to cover the entire Silent Hill franchise as a whole, because frankly I just did not want to make a 10+ hour long video. However, I will be covering my first time experience playing through the entire first game in the series. And hey, if this video does well and you guys want to see me cover the other games in this series one day, maybe leave a like and a comment and subscribe, and I will just do that. Alright, that's enough stalling. Let's play the original, the pioneer, Silent Hill on PlayStation 1. The game starts you out as the main protagonist, Harry Mason, and his adopted daughter, Cheryl, driving alongside a snowy mountain pass at night. They're heading to the town of Silent Hill, which is known to be a very relaxing vacation spot, and it's to help him wind down after the passing of Harry's wife, Jody. While driving, Harry sees what looks to be like a little girl walking in the road, so of course, in order to avoid her, he ends up driving right off the cliff and crashing into the outskirts of Silent Hill. When Harry wakes up after being knocked out from the impact of the crash, he notices immediately that Cheryl is missing. In a frantic state of fear, he exits the vehicle and begins to run into the snow and fog-covered town in search of his now missing daughter. Immediately, you as the player are given full control of Harry and can now walk around freely. But I did notice that the game does use tank controls to control Harry, which at first does feel very sluggish and a bit odd, but once I got the hang of it, I felt right back at home with my experience in games like Resident Evil 1 and 2. Hold on. Oh, you can sidestep. Yo, we can do the hokey pokey. Okay. After figuring out the controls, I made my way through the fog-covered land with little to no direction to go off of. It was genuinely terrifying. You have no idea what could be lurking in the fog, you have no sense of direction, and all you have to defend yourself are your bare hands and the hopes that you can run fast enough if and when the time comes to flee. It's also really quiet. Almost silent. Get it? Because it's Silent Hill. Okay, that's the only bad joke I'll make in this entire video, I promise. But not really. Silent Hill feels utterly abandoned, which based on the little amount of exposition given to us so far, makes little to basically no sense, being that this is meant to be a vacation hotspot. So we have to ask ourselves, where is everybody?
Bingo?
As we begin to venture farther into the fog, we see what looks to be a silhouette of Cheryl in the distance. Harry calls out to her, but she doesn't seem to hear him since she decides to run further away, disappearing farther into the fog. One thing I gotta mention before we progress is that the voice acting throughout this entire game is pretty subpar, to put it lightly. However, I easily can give it a pass for not only just being a late 90s release, but also because the cheese factor can send my sides into orbit sometimes. Yeah, I don't think
this? What's going on here?
The way he said that. What is this? After Harry chases after that silhouette of Cheryl, he finds himself in a very sketchy looking back alley filled with blood, dead carcasses, and honestly the weirdest but coolest camera angles I've ever seen that truly made me feel uneasy. On a side note, I'm very happy that Silent Hill decided not to go the Resident Evil route of using fixed camera angles for the core gameplay. Instead, you are technically given full freedom over the camera movements with the help of the L2 button, except for a few specific sections within the game, such as this alleyway. And yes, it can be a bit wonky at times having the camera that can get stuck on geometry, but honestly, I definitely prefer the open camera angles not only for a gameplay perspective, but also from a technical standpoint because it's genuinely impressive how well this game holds up even in 2024. As Harry ventures deeper into the alleyway, it starts to grow dark to the point that he has to use a small lighter just to see 2 feet in front of him. Then he comes across what looks to be a mummified body that has been pinned to a gate with barbed wire. Oh my, oh no, run, run, dude. Get the fuck out of here. Oh, I can jump. Okay. How do I can't do anything. Am I supposed to die? Get the fuck off me. Uh-oh. I think that was supposed to happen. There's no way. That had to have, that was supposed to happen. So yes, you were never supposed to be able to escape those little creatures, and it turns out it was all a dream. Or was it? Harry now finds himself in a diner sitting across from a female police officer that goes by the name of Sybil Bennett. Weird ass name, I know. She claims that she's a police officer from the next town over and decided to come see what was up due to the phones and radios from the Silent Hill Police Department being dead quiet. But right away, I got this feeling as if we just shouldn't trust her. She claims that she too is just as confused as we are as to why Silent Hill seems completely abandoned and is now just encased in fog. But why did she come investigate this alone? I don't know, man. Something just seems off about her. Oh, she just gave us a Glock. Never mind, she's cool. But then she just decides to run off, leaving Harry alone once he explains that he still needs to find his daughter? What the hell, Sybil? I get that she claims she wants to go get reinforcements, but I feel like we would be in a better off as a team trying to find my daughter instead of splitting up like some dumbass would have suggested in an old Scooby-Doo cartoon. But against our wishes, she leaves immediately and the radio sitting on the counter starts to make a loud static sound and we get attacked by a demon. Oh shit, what the? The tank controls make gunplay a bit of a chore, but thankfully the developers thought ahead enough to add in a bit of aim assist to Harry's shots. So basically, as long as you are pointing in the direction of an enemy, they will usually take the hit. So after a good 4 or so bullets, that bastard was dead. My first kill. And just like that, we now understand the combat basics of Silent Hill's gameplay. We explore the town, listen for static from the radio. If you hear static, that basically just means something's nearby. If a creature attacks you, you must either run or kill it. Rinse and repeat until we find our daughter. It's a very simple concept that I honestly feel would have fallen pretty flat if not for the amazing use of atmosphere sprinkled throughout the entire game. The original soundtrack is, for a lack of a better word, just haunting. The static from the radio, the moans and screams and the creatures infesting Silent Hill, and even the times when the game just thrusts you into an eerie silence sends shivers down my spine every single time. It's really just that damn good. As I made my way around Silent Hill trying to avoid the now abundance of flying demons and killer dogs, I actually started to understand the layout of the land a little bit. You eventually will find maps to the different sections of the game that are lifesavers to your progress and just overall experience. Without these maps, I easily could have sank another 10 hours into this playthrough just on backtracking and exploring alone. With the help of the town map, I was able to find some extra ammo, some keys to what felt like a cryptic puzzle, and some first aid kits just in case I got attacked. All these items get stored inside of your inventory. Speaking of the inventory, this was a major departure for me as a veteran to the Resident Evil series. I was instantly shocked just to find out that Silent Hill, you do not have to worry about inventory management at all. Literally anything that you find throughout your playthrough, you can pick up and carry with you forever. Somehow, this guy just has the biggest pockets known to man. Some might find this to be a pleasant change of pace if they have ever been frustrated by the almost puzzle-like experience of inventory management within the Resident Evil series, while for me, I don't know, I almost felt like this was a step back in terms of gameplay and a challenge. As annoying as the inventory management can be in Resident Evil, I have to say that the lack of it here really felt like a missed opportunity for a little bit of an extra challenge given to the player to pick and choose which healing items or ammo types or whatever that you should carry on you at any given section. The game is basically open world in the sense that you can explore at your own pace and you can even backtrack to previous areas if you felt like you really missed something. So I don't know, I truly think that the addition of an inventory system really would have been a big asset to the gameplay, but I digress. After roaming around for what felt like hours and only finding 3 different keys that I honestly had no idea what they went to, and a single note that was assumed to be from Cheryl saying to school, giving Harry a clue as to where she may have gone, that's when I found out that we couldn't even make it to the school due to the roads being literally destroyed by what looks like an earthquake. But I knew that there had to be another way around it. That's when I came across a note on the ground that gave a hint to a doghouse somewhere on the next street over. Arriving at this doghouse, I took a look inside and, sure enough, a house key. I use this house key to enter the home to then find a back door with 3 distinct locks on it. Thankfully, I already had the 3 keys needed to unlock the door, so once those were removed, I opened the door to find out that we were now on the other side of the town, essentially unlocking an entirely new area that goes right to the school. Oh, also it's dark again.
Fuck!
With the help of Harry's little flashlight, we make our way through the uncharted fog-filled territory to hopefully find the school that Cheryl's note was alluding us to. After 15 minutes of pissing and shitting myself in fear due to not really being able to see what's trying to kill me, I finally made it to the school.
Hello. It's a little quiet in here. I'm looking for my daughter. She doesn't go to this school, but she's here for some reason. Oh, what's this? Can't read that. I can't read. Maybe I need to go to school.
But, of course, Cheryl is nowhere to be found. In fact, just like the rest of the town, the school is seemingly abandoned. Looking around, I came across some books covered in blood, 3 to be exact. Each one of these seemed to correspond to a separate puzzle that we'll need to solve in order to move forward and figure out what happened to Cheryl. So from this point on, the rest of the game sort of follows the same exact format of get to a new area, look around until you come across some clues for a puzzle, fight some weird creatures. Oh, they got...
Ew! 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 Kill him! Get away!
Solve said puzzle, unlock a new area, rinse, and repeat. When you think about it, the game is pretty simple in its execution, but it strays away from being monotonous because of its interesting story, the atmosphere, the enemy variety constantly changing, and how every large environment truly does feel different from the last one to keep the gameplay feeling fresh and the player always on their toes. After wandering around the school for an hour killing some demon children...
Oh! Demon! Oh! Get off my dick! No!
Laughing at these dumb little ghost babies that sound like rats...
Oh! What the fuck? Whoa! What are you? Are you a ghost?
Oh, he's cute, actually.
Are you an adorable little ghost? You can hurt me? You okay?
Hey, buddy, it's like... Oh... Collecting items and solving some actually difficult puzzles... Man, fuck this piano one. We are finally able to access the clock tower, which turns out to basically be a portal to hell. Once Harry steps out from the clock tower on the opposite side, it looks the exact same as where we just came from, but yet somehow feels a little different. And that became more than obvious once I stepped back into the school. There's no electricity now, the walls are covered in what looks like rust, maybe blood, can't really tell. The ground is turned into what looks like grates to which you can look down into an abyss of darkness below, and the school is crawling with more creatures than ever before. Welcome to Silent Hill. The rest of the section is sort of the same as the first go round through the school, only this time, different doors are locked and I had to solve a few more puzzles and of course kill many more creatures to finally make my way to the boiler room. Once inside, I was greeted with a majestic creature known as the Split Head.
Jesus fucking Christ. Oh!
Now I did die once to this creature after wasting all of my ammo because I totally forgot about an hour ago in the game I came across a book passage that explained how a hunter once killed this creature by shooting an arrow into its open mouth.
Ooh! Ooh!
Okay. So, after pulling a 5-head and remembering that, I decided to come back for round 2, and this time, I absolutely destroyed its ugly ass.
Shoot. I'm out of ammo?
Oh, was that it?
Oh. Okay, that's not what I expected.
Once it dies, we hear what sounds like tornado sirens in the distance while the screen fades to black. When the light comes back, it seems we are back to the normal school again inside the boiler room, but this time a key has been placed on the ground. Picking up the key, I left the school immediately because fuck school. As soon as we get outside, Harry starts to hear what sounds like church bells coming from across the town. So with hearing that, I made my way over to the church and we are instantly greeted with a cutscene in which a woman reveals herself to be Dahlia Gillespie.
It was foretold by gyromancy.
She gives Harry a pyramid-shaped item called the Florus and tells him to hurry to the hospital with no further context. Before Harry can even ask any more questions, Dahlia leaves the church and locks the door behind her. Honestly, that entire cutscene gave me more questions than answers as to what was even going on. But it makes sense because you as the player are meant to feel exactly how Harry is after this conversation, which I think is a pretty neat touch to keep the player curious as to what is coming next, but also just as confused. Once I figured out how to drop the bridge and walk across, we have now made it to the quote-unquote Central Silent Hill, which has its own map and is essentially the same size as the first section of the game. At first I was a bit disappointed at the layout of the new section and how closely it seemed to reflect the first portion of the game. However, that disappointment immediately vanished the second I saw the Sloth Man. Oh! That's new. Hello? Are you guys friendly?
Oh, shit. Oh, fuck, he's sucking me. Oh.
Okay, well, that's fun.
Oh, he's sucking me again.
Noping out of there, I ran all the way to the hospital where Harry runs into a guy by the name of Michael Kaufman, a doctor who was just as confused as Harry about the current circumstances happening within Silent Hill. After a brief conversation where he makes some rude remarks about Harry's daughter's chance of being still alive, he just up and leaves, making me scratch my head at what the hell that was all about. But, oh well, no time for that. Time to explore the hospital. I found a water bottle in the kitchen and decided to pick up this red jelly looking shit that was left on the floor because, why not? Making my way to the basement, I killed some more freaks and I found out how to restore the power to the elevator. Little did I know the elevator would be a portal to the true Silent Hill, just as the clock tower was at the school. Now the hospital is even more terrifying and is overrun with these undead looking nurses. Thankfully, after searching through a few rooms, killing a tentacle monster that is every hentai girl's nightmare, and solving a few puzzles, I came across a normal woman by the name of Lisa Garland. She seems to be very scared and not entirely sure where she is, but Lisa also appears to be the only person who can tell Harry more information about Silent Hill and its history. But of course, right before Harry can ask any questions, we get teleported back to the normal world of fog and silence. That silence is quickly broken by Dahlia, who somehow found us in the hospital and explains cryptically that the strange symbol Harry has been seeing in various locations around town must not be completed, lest, quote-unquote, the darkness devour the whole town. Whatever the fuck that means. Strangely, she runs off again before Harry can ask any more questions, but she ends up leaving behind a key to a local antique shop. So, I yoinked it up and made my way over to it. Inside the antique shop, Sybil finally makes a reappearance and is happy to see Harry. She explains that she couldn't find a way out of Silent Hill to get back up, but she did end up seeing a girl at the lake that might have been his daughter, and that she actually wants to stick with us this time to finally find her, because duh. But sadly, this partnership is short-lived once Harry stumbles across an altar through the secret tunnel behind the antique shop. As soon as he is about to head back to show Sybil, he gets transported to the other world again, leaving her all alone once more. Harry wakes up and is across from Lisa again. This time, she's finally able to shed some light on who Dahlia is and her association with this creepy-ass town. But right as she's about to continue, she for some reason feels that she needs to be quiet and she fades to black. When Harry wakes up again, Lisa is now gone. So with that, I ended up leaving the hospital for a second time and right away was thrusted into probably the most enemy-rich area in the entire game. This was the only time that I felt that I actually had to flee for my life and I couldn't just stay and fight due to the vast amount of enemies chasing me at once.
Jeez. Let me out of here. Hey. Let me out of here. Run, Harry. Harry, run. Run for your life, boy. Oh, God, he's in my... Oh, God, he's in my butt.
Then somehow I ended up on the set of the film Tremors. I had to beat the shit out of a graboid until it screamed for mercy and ran off. And then I ran back to the hospital with my tail between my legs looking for Lisa again. Thankfully, I found Lisa, and she then gives me some directions to the lake in order to find my daughter. But then also lets me know that she feels she's not supposed to leave the hospital, which prompts Harry to tell her to just stay put, and he will be back once he finds his daughter. Harry basically just says, fuck Lisa, I guess. I don't know why he just leaves, but whatever. Once outside the hospital, we are greeted with the second boss battle in which we gotta kill a giant-ass moth. At least this boss was a walk in the park and only took a few rifle and shotgun blasts to take it down. It's a pretty weak boss, to be honest. Now that the boss has been defeated, we thankfully hear the lovely sounds of the tornado sirens once more, and we are transported back to the normal world where we can make our way to the lake. Harry, of course, runs into another roadblock and has to travel through a vast sewer system that's infested with some weird-ass skinny gator guys in order to make it to the lake.
Oh, what the fuck? What is this? Ew.
Thankfully, this section was pretty easy though, and I got through it without much of an issue. Back on the surface, I ran for my life while being chased by 2 billion slothmen and flying demons until we made it to the lake. Once at the lake, we run into Sybil once again, but before we can reunite in glee, Dahlia appears to sort of explain to us that time is running out and we'll be forever trapped in this underworld, all thanks to this entity called Samuel. Dahlia explains that we need to stop the demon from using our daughter as a sacrifice by heading to the lighthouse. Sybil tells us to head there while she is going to the amusement park for some weird-ass reason. I think she just wanted to mess around and ride the roller coaster while I die trying to save my daughter, but what do I know? So yeah, I run to the lighthouse, I run up 400 flights of stairs, only to be greeted by an apparition of a 16-year-old girl named Alyssa, who just ends up leaving before I can ask her any questions. Well, guess I have to go back to see where Sybil is at the amusement park. Oh, and of course we have to travel back through the goddamn sewers to get there because why not? Finally arriving at the amusement park, Harry stumbles upon Sybil sitting in a wheelchair on the merry-go-round. Once he approaches her, she awakens, but she doesn't seem like herself. She's walking like a zombie and starts to even shoot at him with a pistol. Now at this point, I was totally sure that I just had to kill her because she somehow got possessed. However, thanks to my wonderful chat during the live stream, by the way, check me out live at twitch.tv/vicariousnick, they hinted towards using that red jelly I picked up 4 hours ago in the hospital on her to essentially, quote-unquote, save her. Because even though you can still get the good ending even if you kill her, you end up getting an A+ rating for saving her with the goop, which is kind of a cool option to the player, I suppose. But we'll get more into that later. So I let her get close enough to me in order to use the red goop, and a cutscene played out where Sybil falls to the ground and a nasty-ass slug parasite literally crawls out of her so Harry can curb stomp that bitch. This essentially brings Sybil back to her normal self again. And now, alright, so this is where the story goes from 0 to 100 pretty damn quick, so try and stay with me. I'm sorry for any potential whiplash that may occur. You have been warned. After you've saved Sybil, Alyssa appears once more, and after Harry asks her to let Cheryl go, she ends up pushing him back with some Force shit from Star Wars. Harry ain't having none of that, so he decides to use the florist to trap her. Right after Alyssa is trapped, Dahlia reappears, revealing that she actually was just manipulating him the entire time into confining Alyssa for her, as Harry was the only one who apparently could get close enough to her. Oh, also Alyssa is Dahlia's daughter. Yeah. Who knew? Suddenly the screen goes black and Harry awakens to find himself back in the distorted world resembling the hospital. He is sitting across from Lisa once more, but she doesn't seem to be her normal self. She explains that she feels something is wrong and that she needs help, but when Harry tries to comfort her, she just runs off. And with that, we are now in the final stretch of the game. This entire section was probably one of my least favorite parts of the game, but only mainly because it was 90% puzzles and not much else. Yes, you do run into more nurses who try to kill you, but yeah, that's about it. There was one weird section where if you grab this sword from the wall without first placing another object in place, the hentai tentacle creature grabs Harry's leg and rips apart his and that was honestly kind of annoying, being that that was placed there just to troll new players. Other than that though, it is pretty straightforward with the puzzles unlocking one door after another until you come across Lisa one last time. Harry stands face to face with her as she bleeds from every orifice and starts to walk towards us. Harry of course flees and locks the door behind him as she screams for help. Then there's just silence. I decided to enter the door where Lisa was chasing us, only to find a diary left in the room. The diary was Lisa's. It explains that she was the nurse who attended to Alyssa in return for a drug that she was addicted to called PTV, which Dr. Kaufman supplied. Later on, Harry witnesses another flashback of a meeting between Dahlia, Kaufman, and two cult doctors discussing Alyssa's hospitalization and the rebirth of God. Yeah, I don't get it either. And now once we unlock the final door by placing in the 5 different talismans, we walk into a room to find Dahlia, and possibly Sybil if the player saved her previously, as well as a figure in a wheelchair wrapped in bandages, which actually turns out to be Cheryl and Alyssa combined, while Alyssa's astral projection is sitting nearby. Dahlia explains to us that she sacrificed her own daughter to be burned alive 7 years ago in an attempt to nurture and bring about the birth of God, worshipped by the cult known as the Order. And of course, Dahlia is a priestess, and that God now resides within Alyssa's womb. In doing so, Alyssa split her soul in half to prevent God from being born. The other half of the soul manifested itself into Cheryl, whom Harry and his wife found as a baby on the road outside of Silent Hill and eventually ended up adopting. The reason that Cheryl wanted Harry to take a vacation in Silent Hill in the first place was all because Alyssa called Cheryl back to Silent Hill so that her full power could be restored. Alyssa would then purge Silent Hill of reality, unaliving herself to prevent God's birth. Alyssa manifests herself as an astral projection in the town to place those markings that Harry had seen in an attempt to keep the god at bay. With Alyssa's plan defeated and the two halves of her soul now back together, the god creature begins to manifest itself before Harry's eyes. Okay. I'm just gonna take a breather for a sec. That was a lot of information and a lot of exposition thrusted upon us in the final moments of the game. I'm right there with you, and I too was just as flabbergasted. However, there is one thing I forgot to mention. This game actually has 5 different endings the player can achieve based on certain events that take place or do not take place during their playthrough. I was not aware of this until I reached the ending and was dissatisfied with the ending that I personally received, and chat had to tell me otherwise. I got the bad plus ending because even though I did save Sybil by using the red jelly, I actually never ran into Kaufman after defeating the moth boss battle, in which that would have given me a side quest to save him from a different creature. Afterwards, he will thank Harry for his help right as Harry finds a motorcycle stash of mysterious red vial in a gas tank. Kaufman gets angry, snatches it away, and then he runs off. Apparently, this side quest makes or breaks the ending of the game. If you complete the quest, you get the good ending. If you fail or skip the side quest like I did, you get the bad ending. So, with my ending, Sybil appears because I saved her, and she tries to kill Dahlia, but fails and gets knocked out. Alyssa and Cheryl merge together as one, becoming the incubator to give birth to the new god, and they end up killing Dahlia anyway. I then had to battle the incubator, which was basically a white glowing woman who did nothing but try and hit me with some lightning a few times. Overall, it was a pretty lame fight if I'm being honest. After the fight is over, Alyssa thanks Harry. He then collapses in sorrow over the loss of his daughter, who he technically just had to kill to stop the god from being born. Sybil then walks over to Harry, smacks him out of his grief, and tells him to go as the other world collapses around them, while the screen fades to black. The end. So, yeah, I got the bad ending. You can probably understand why I was a bit upset with this one, but hey, at least I got the bad plus ending, which I wouldn't have if I let Sybil die, so there is that. But let's see what happens if you actually let Sybil die and you miss a side quest. Are you fucking kidding me? Jesus Christ. Just imagine if it was truly all a dream and this entire game was just inside a dying man's head after a terrible car accident. I probably would have scrapped this entire video and said this game sucks. But thankfully, they do have an option of a good ending that is basically the canon ending in my eyes, where if you end up doing the side quest, Alyssa and Cheryl will still merge together, becoming the incubator. However, Kaufman will appear, shooting Dahlia and then throwing that mysterious red vial at the incubator. This will make the incubus emerge from her back looking like some sort of Wendigo hellspawn, and then Harry once again has to fight the incubus. And I gotta say, just from the gameplay of this looks like a way more badass fight that I wish I would have experienced myself. After you defeat him, the incubator gives Harry a newborn baby and shows him the escape route. As Harry and Sybil escape, Kaufman tries to follow, but he ends up getting stopped by Lisa. The flames consume the incubator, but Harry and Sybil safely make it out to the highway on the outskirts of the town as they end up staring up into the sky, bewildered by everything that just happened. So, that was Silent Hill. As I said, there's technically 5 endings that you can get based on the side quest and if you kill or save Sybil, but there's also a secret ending that involves UFOs during a New Game Plus run, which is pretty amazing if you ask me. Overall, I'm satisfied with my time with Silent Hill. I enjoyed the story enough to want to push forward and figure out what was going on with this town and what happened to Harry's daughter. I enjoyed the enemy variety and designs that seemed to always keep me on my toes all the way up until the final boss. The atmosphere drew me in and never let me go. The original soundtrack was breathtaking and gave me goosebumps more times than I can count. Even the puzzles stumped me pretty good a few times, and I really cannot commend them more when compared to Resident Evil's puzzles, which to me always felt like a 5-year-old could solve. If I were to give this game some criticism, it would be in the combat due to the tank controls, which really just feels super dated, and mixed with the clunky camera at times, it can be an absolute headache to fight groups of enemies. The lack of item management also, as I stated earlier, felt like a missed opportunity for a bit more of a challenge given to the player. And lastly, just the fact that in order to get the canon/good ending, you need to complete a side quest that can be easily missed by new players. But overall, this is still an amazing psychological horror experience that I could not recommend more to any horror fans out there. Even in 2024, this game still stacks up even compared to brand new releases with 10 times better graphics, better combat, and a way bigger budget. Sometimes all you need in order to make a good horror game is an interesting story, an atmosphere that truly transports you into the world of the game you're playing, and some decent puzzles mixed in to give you a sense of accomplishment to keep the player moving forward. I give Silent Hill a 9 out of 10. So that was I finally played Silent Hill. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is the first episode of this new series. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of it and if you're excited for more in the future. My next video on this topic is going to be Shadow of the Colossus, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that one coming in the near future. And again, follow me on Twitch if you want to see live streams of me testing out and playing these games for the first time. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll hope to see you in the next one. Peace out, everybody. Jesus Christ! What the fuck was that? What was that? Aula. Fuck you. What the? Dude, what was that? My dude was shooting like this. Like he wasn't looking, just do. I got all headshots.
Wait a second. I'm going to try.
That was badass, bro. Here, big boy. Yeah. Damn, boy. Where'd you get those? Let me through. All right, we made it. We made it.